everyone, it's Laura from Laura's Handcrafted Treats and Treasures. Welcome to or back to my channel. Well, on my desk today I have February's Journaling Joy 2025 from Create with Scrimping Mommy. It is called A Lady's Diary. It's absolutely gorgeous. I will, as usual, have all of her links in the description box, as well as a link directly to this kit. And let's just get into it a little bit. So I'm not going to go through the papers because she does that in her video. And I can just get going. All right, so I have gone through, and if you follow me, I just print my first set of papers of what do I want my fronts to look like. Then I go in and put in my back. So I'm doing something a little bit different this time. I normally would lay all of my fronts this way and then fold it in, and then I would have the writing spots on the opposite. You'll see when I get going. But on this one, I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with that first page because I'm going to make a 2 signature journal. So I'm going to start with that first page for one of the signatures. But when I get to the next page, instead of this being the page where I would do this so that when you opened this, you're going to see this. What I decided to do was flip the pages this way so that when you open this way, you're going to see them. I don't know, just something different. Ooh, I'm stepping out of the box. Just something a little bit different. So I'm going to have that one there. And then when I did this one, I was like, and I started to look at the book as it would look like this way. I'm like, I really wish she was on this side. So guess what? I made my wish come true. You just go to your computer or your graphic, you pull your graphic up and you just flip it. So in mine anyway, I just pull it up, I go to edit, and it gives me an option to go vertical or flip it. So that's what I did. So now she is going to be over here. So I didn't just sort of end up with all the ladies on this side and all the journaling on this side. So then when I take this one, and I wanted this to be my center paper for this particular signature, now you can see when I do it this way, I've got quite a bit of just journaling right there, but then I've got a graphic here. I've got her here, but then when you go to this side, you have the other gal. Where's she at? She's towards the back on the other side. So I just felt like it balanced it out a little bit more. All right, this one I didn't have to do too much fiddling with because it actually, as I flipped through the papers, it seemed to come out, pretty good. I have a graphic over here for the papers that I picked for it. She's over here. And then, oh, not that one. That's part of the ephemera. And then this was going to be my middle. But then, of course, you've got a graphic here. Journaling, and I might flip one of those around. Here's another graphic. So there's heavy journaling on this side, so I may actually do some flipping on that one, or I may go back to doing it the way I would normally do it. I don't know. Let's just see what happens. Okay, I'm happy with that signature. All right, so I have cut out most of my ephemera. It comes with all this ephemera, and I've got a new little scan and cut machine, which I'm absolutely loving, and I'm just going to let it do the work for me. I'm not a big fussy cutter. But another thing that I did was these came with the kit, and what I did was I did the same thing. This was all on one page, which was great because then I took that and went to my computer and I mirrored it. So now I can take, let's see, I had them all together and I messed them all up, but all right, so let's see, this one, no, that goes the same way. Okay, let's take this one for instance. Nope, not that one either. Where's my mirrored ones? This one. Okay, so now I can take this and mirror it, and I'm going to use that effect that Amanda talked about in one of her videos about border tabs. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. I can mirror all of these, and then I can put border tabs. So anyway, there's that. And then I am going to use this. I use this quite often to make journals. It's just a heavy duty paper, like some sort of a folder, but just a really heavy weight. It's going to get heavier as I add to it. But I think I'm going to have to make it a 2-inch spine because I'm going to do a double signature, and I like to have 1 inch because they bulk up so big. I don't just want this big gator mouth down here and this tiny little, you know, spine here. But then I found this in my wallpaper, and I thought, oh, this goes great with all of the papers. So that is going to be my cover, although most of this is going to get covered up anyway. So I've got the basics ready to go, and I will come back after my signatures are done and inked and sewn, and we'll get started. Okay, I am back. I have been busy. I have cut out on most of these on my brother's Scan and Cut, which I'm just loving. Reduced my fussy cutting that I don't like to do to less than half the time. So anyway, I've gotten all those. I didn't ink this one, but all these are inked up and ready to go. I need to get that one inked. And I have done all of my paper, my 2 signatures. So I've gone ahead and I've inked all of the edges, and I've done that with Smoky Slate from Stampin' Up. I use this one a lot. It's my favorite. I bought the refill because I knew I was going to be using this one a lot. And then before I move on, I wanted to show you some other ones that I'm going to be looking at. So I've kind of looked at these for other elements that I can put in this journal. So if you're a subscriber, a member of Amanda's Ko-fi, you would have the Floral Grace, Book Lovers, and I put Writing Book Pages to leave myself a note. Journaling Basics, Timeless Rose actually had a couple things, and then Vintage Compendium. And I also, in the last one, Georgian Romance, there was a couple of envelopes in there. I thought, well, I might go back and print one of those envelopes. So check out some of her other kits because you can combine. And anyway, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to move those aside. Like I said, I have them inked and ready to go. And then I ended up cutting this down with 1.5 inch spine. For my 2 signatures. I went to go 2 inches. I'm like, that looks really, really big. I might regret it. I don't know. I doubt it. But I have plenty of room in there for these to grow. And I thought, gosh, 2 inches is just going to be far too much. So I went ahead with that. And then I thought I would show you what I do to put my cover on. I know some have seen this before, but I do have some new subscribers and thought they might be interested. So like I had said, this is the wallpaper. I've cut it down. My first thing is once I get this cover cut to where I want it, I basically go around and keep almost like a 1-inch border, and I trace around it so when I go to glue it, I know exactly where I'm going to glue it. And then I can, you know, use that to fold in. Also, I am using Fabrifix, and I wanted to tell you, I have another one, but it was getting a little too sticky. We're going to see how it works when I get ready to do this, but I wanted to mention that you can put acetone. It cannot be the non-acetone, which it doesn't say these anymore. This just says regular nail polish remover for use on natural nails. So this is the acetone. The non-acetone is for when you have like the acrylic nails. It'll take the polish off, but it doesn't eat the nail away. Anyway, I just put a little bit in this. I learned this from another creator, and she learned it from somebody else. So, you know, I don't know how many know about it, but anyway, let's see how this works, because it was getting a little goopy and not really workable, but I have so much left in there, and as you can see, it's expensive. So, you know, we try to get as much use out. Oh yeah, oh, look at that. Yeah. You know, we try to get as much use out of our products as possible, you know, good to the last drop. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just making this spine real goopy. I want that to be real goopy. And I don't do the whole thing. I do the spine first. So I'm basically going to lay this down to where you see I have my guide. It doesn't have to be perfect because I have plenty going around each side. And then, of course, this is movable because it's not art glitter glue. And then I'm just going to go ahead and press that down really well. And I'm going to go ahead and get my Cricut scraper here. And just kind of, I don't even care that it's oozing out the end. It's fine. I don't really want it to stick these down yet because I want to do some folding first. But I need that to grab a hold before I start messing with it. So I'm going to get that down real good. And yeah, that helped a lot. Because I did not want to have to open that new one that I have and waste this. All right, so I'm not sure if this is glued down quite well yet, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking that wallpaper along, you know, with that fold, and I'm just going to fold. I'm not pressing it hard. I'm just sort of trying to get it where that fold is at. And it feels like I need to go up a little bit, and then, yeah, because when I get ready to fold it in, I just want it to fold well. All right, so that's about there, and I do that just to get the fold started for when I do put the glue on. And then I'm going to do this. Let's see. Yep, I got that one right to the edge because I want it to fold, but for the starter, I want it to lay flat as well, which the book is never going to lay totally flat once you get your signatures in there, but this is just how I like to start my books. And I just kind of look in there and see, you know, do I kind of have it where I need it? And then I will go ahead and glue down each side to here, putting my glue here and then laying it over here. And with the Fabri-Tac, you know, or Fabri-Fix, either one, you have a little bit of playroom as well because it doesn't dry that fast. Now, if I was going to sew around this, I would not be going up to the edges. I would only go around on the inside of where my sewing machine would not be hitting it because you don't want to goop up. I don't want to goop up my needles. Okay, and it doesn't have to be like slathered too much because these are all going to be folded in. Then I'm just going to take that side and gently start working that glue around. And work it this way. And then while it's still sort of in that state of adhering, I'm going to fold it back over, fold it out, and just kind of mess with it until it's working, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and then I'm going to use, before I go, I'll come back and do this part. I've done it before as well. But once these are all glued down, I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to come in and take my little tool here, and I'm going to cut these edges off, which leaves just a little bit here, so when we fold them in, we can just get a nice fold and a curve. But right now, I'm going to finish gluing and let that dry, and then I'll be back. All right, so it's all glued up, and I just wanted to show you how I do the corners. It's pretty simple. You just kind of line this up to the edge, and I just take that little corner off. Now these might be a little bit long, but that's okay. Another thing I do is I literally take a tiny little sliver, and I try to take it on each side of this little beveled part just to stop it from the resistance when I start to glue it in. And then as you can see, it's got this little part here. It leaves just a little bit, and then that's what you just kind of turn in and then do your fold. So from whichever angle you want, and you have to work it a little bit, but I'll work it and get that done. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and put in each of these sides for the inside of the book is then going to get covered, and then they'll have a spine too. So once I get all these turned down, I will have a spine that comes out just a little bit past these marks or these cuts, and then but they won't go on the other side, and then that way it kind of covers that up. And I think what I want to use is, let's see if it's in this one. I want to use the one that has the same picture on each side, if I can find it. Hit this one. So I think what I'll do is I'll print this out again and then put each one of these on this side. So anyway, that's what's going to happen there. I don't want to get my signatures mixed up. Then once I do that, I'm going to sew my signatures in. Lots of videos on how to do that. I've done it before. If you look through my playlist, I'm sure I've done it on some journal I've done. But I'm going to get out my guide. I've talked about this before. Many probably already know. But if you're new here and you haven't gotten this, you can go to Amanda's Facebook, Create with Scrimping Mommy's Facebook, and it is in her file section. Now, I have a Facebook page, and I always post the link in my descriptions as well. My Facebook page really isn't an interactive, so it's just a page, it's not a group, and I think that's why I don't have like a file section, because I looked. But I'm going to put this in a PDF form, and I can share that PDF form on like a post, and I'll try to pin that to the top of the page, so it's always going to be like the feature. But I use that mostly for when I'm doing craft shows and stuff, or I can let people know, hey, I've posted a new video. So it's really not an interactive group, and for the main reason of I just don't have time. I don't have time to keep up with it, and I know that. So I would never be able to answer questions. I would never be able to comment, so I just don't. But anyway, I'm gonna get that in there. So that would be my next move, is to start going through my pages and picking out you know, what I want to put there. And I always have these little tags, and as I'm going through the book, I just put them, you know, wherever, and then we'll go from there, and I'll show you how I actually do some of these. So moving on. Okay, so I have printed my panels for each side, but there's been a change in my brainwaves, and I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. So I might make this a two-part video, because this is going to get super long. I really liked just that smooth part when it came out, when I finished gluing. And I'm like, you know, I don't really want to punch holes in. And a lot of times I'll just punch the holes, you know, and put the spine right here. And then you can cover this up with various mediums. But I didn't want to do that. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a hidden spine, which I have done before. I have videos in my videos. It's hidden spine 1, 2, and 3, and I'm doing it in a Reader's Digest book. But I'm going to do this. So this is going to be my hidden spine. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cover it with, I'm sorry, I'm not going to cover this. I'm going to take some more, let me back up. I'm going to cover this, just not with the fabric. So I have a little bit of that wallpaper left, and I think what I'm going to do is cover it here. Now, I've already made my marks where I need to put my signatures, so you don't want to cover that up, or you're going to have to redo all your measurements. But I'm going to go ahead and glue this here, cut around it, and ink it up. And then the signature will be sewn into here before it goes in here. I also have this, it's an old tablecloth, this linen, and I have it all torn up. I'm going to go ahead and iron it and get it all ready to go, but it's almost the perfect length for each side, or width for each side. I'm going to get this cut down, and I may color this. I don't know, or I may leave it white, because these will go up underneath like this. And you're not going to see a whole lot of it when your spine gets in there anyway. But it'll all be glued down. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my prep work to get this done. I'm going to go ahead and glue these in first. If you're doing something like this and following along, glue these in first. I'm going to glue this in and get rid of the stained part. I'm going to glue this in, and I'm going to be cutting it fairly to the same length. It's an 8.5 height. I might cut it just a smidge smaller than that, because I don't mind if it sticks out the top and the bottom. I'm going to get that glued in. I'm going to be using my Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac. You want to use that when you're using fabric. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this covered, like I said. And then when I come back, I'm going to go ahead and sew the signatures into the hidden spine and show you how to insert it into your book. And then I'll go on to a part 2. So I will be back. Okay, I've done a little prep work just to try to get through this part. So I have put my paper, my inside of my cover. It's coming along nice. When you do this, make sure that your actual outside cover is facing right if you have a directional pattern, because I've done that before where I've done it upside down and then I have to run 2 more papers and put them in upside right. So just check your papers. So those are glued in. I went ahead and cut this to just about exact, and then this is going to get glued in, and I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do my center. I'll get my edges afterwards, but I thought I would just do this with you so you can kind of see what's going on here. So we're going to get that in there, and I'm putting a fair amount. You know, it doesn't have to be crazy because you're going to glue it down on the sides, and then there's going to be more glue that's going to be put on top of this piece. So you have a little bit of movability with your Fabri-Tac. So I'm just going to kind of go, I think I got it right in the center. I'm looking at my 2 little lines here. Doesn't have to be perfect. I could probably pull it this way just a tad. So I'm going to do that. And then I think at the top it looks pretty good. It's going to stick over just a little bit. That's fine. I'm going to bring this one down so kind of sticks over the same. I don't mind that little frayed edge look. It's starting to stick, so I'm not going to get much time with that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get that all pressed down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let that get dry, and then I'll go ahead and tack these edges down with the glue. Right now I just want to work those edges a little bit and get them sort of stuck in there for when they're turning. Where's my ruler? Because that usually works pretty good. You can use a bone folder, but this seems to work pretty good. Okay. So that looks good, and you can see the glue, but you're not going to see it once this is on. So let's talk about that for a second. So this is the template. Now remember, I did a top and a bottom. I went ahead and poked the holes. I started to poke the holes from this side only until I could just feel the point, and then I poked them back the other way just a little bit. Now, before I actually sew a signature to this, and this is another thing, you're going to want to make sure your top to bottom And you want to make sure your book is top to bottom. Otherwise, you're going to have upside down signatures. Ask me how I know. Yup, I've had to redo them. And you don't want to have to redo them on this one because when this is glued in, it's just going to be glued in. So I went ahead and took my first signature. I think this is going to be the first one. And my template is just a little smidgen on either side. It's just a little smidgen. And I'm just going to try to line that up best I can. I'm going to be doing this on both of them. Now you can put a pencil mark in here and poke your holes, or you can lay this right in your little book, which I'm going to get out in just a minute, and poke your holes. So let me hold that up. I don't want that to move on me. Oh, quit falling. I'll just do it this way. Sometimes I just do it right in the book because I can't see, depending on the paper, I can't see the pencil mark, but I can see these okay. So I have clipped these together. I've pushed this down real tight. I've clipped them together. These clips will not come off until I have this sewn into my book. So I just use just a book. I push it down. And lately, I've talked about this in the last one, I have been using the needle itself because I haven't gotten a smaller one yet, but I've been using my needle to do the holes. Let me see, here's the pencil mark. Because I don't want these to be super, super big. It's gonna just make my holes too big. So it's starting to come through there. And then I don't push, you know, I don't push it through. And then I'm just gonna go to my next one. Kind of check it. Yep, it's coming through. And I'll go to my next one. And then, yep, it's coming through. So, okay. Now, I'm going to take this signature. Is this going to be my first one or my second one? I think that was going to be my first one because it had the, or was it my second? It doesn't really matter. It's all going to look great when I'm done. Okay, so now I'm going to take my template. I'm going to take what's going to get glued in. Now, don't forget to flip it because this is going to be glued in. I just want to remember top, bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do, you can do whatever one you want first. On a 3 signature, I would usually start from the back and move my way forward. But I'm going to just basically put my needle in there. I'm going to find that first little hole. And remember, this is not my favorite thing to do, but keep working at it. You will get it. You might struggle, but you'll get it. All right, so that's coming through. Now, before my thread comes through the other side, I'm gonna go ahead and just get that put in there so I don't pull it through. All right, and then I'm gonna go through this next hole from the back. And as you can see, I'm not holding anything tight because for me, I can't get it to go until I kind of have it in there. Now I have to find that other little hole and hopefully if I don't have it punched through enough, there it is. All right, so I'm sort of holding my finger inside so I can feel that it's coming on the inside of the book. So it's not slipping in between the other pages. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get that one in. Okay, and then make sure when you're doing it, don't be going through one of these because you're going to crisscross and then you have to start over. Ask me how I know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and find that hole. All right, now I'll worry about tightening everything up later. Right now, I just want to get it in place. Okay, now I'm going to go back down through that middle. And this is the tricky one when you're doing hidden spines. So I just went through there. I'm gonna find my other one in the book. Oh, I'm losing it. Maybe I'll just pull that completely through and then find my middle. Excuse me if my head's in the way. Did just get a dye job, so we're good. Okay, so it is landing on this side. This string is on this side. This string is on this side. I just lost it. Okay, won't let me do that again. At least I don't have to take it all apart. So I'm going to leave this in because then you can see the struggle is real. But you just keep going. You just keep going. All right, let me pull that through. And then where did my string end up? Yep, it still ended up on the other side. If not, just make sure you get it on the other side. So at this point, I want to tighten these up. And now in the last video I did, I was like, why are my strings just not, they don't feel like they're kissing up against the cardboard. Well, what I discovered was I need to take these out. It's almost like I have to relearn what I did before, because if you don't do it all the time, you have to relearn it. So I'm going to snug that, and then I'm going to be, okay, it's nope, not twangy there, see? I want it to be twangy. I want these to be twangy, and then I'm just going to snug it. I'm going to tie it, and then I'm going to try to pull that just to snug it a little bit more if I have to. Now, if it feels loose and you're not happy with it, but I'm pretty happy with that, take it out and just do it over. I mean, I've had to do that, so just don't give up. Don't give up. When I first started doing this, I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna get this. But I did eventually. I got it. All right, so we have our first signature. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna follow the same process. I'm going to get these clamped or clipped, and then I'm gonna put my holes in there just like I showed you, and then I'm gonna sew this signature on to here. Then I'll be back and we'll get it glued in. Okay, so both of my signatures are on the spine. What I did forget to tell you, a couple things, is number one, when you're making your marks for the book, before you start doing your sewing, make sure you do it for both of the books. I managed to be able to do it, but yeah, make sure you do it for both of the books before you get started, where you had to put it in there and get your markings, because I didn't do it on this one, but luckily I was able to turn this and get it in there to do it. Another thing I forgot to tell you was the whatever you're using to bind, which you can use different things. This is just like a heavy duty quilting thread. Make sure you're going 1, 2, 3. Well, you can do 2.5. I like my strings a little bit longer. So anyway, we have that done. Now what I'm going to do is I am gonna glue this in. So this is the fun part, and then that way I will have a hidden spine. Isn't that cool? So we are again going to go back to our Fabri-Tac, just because I think this is, number one, it's going to be on the fabric, and number two, it's just going to hold very well. Now this, I'm just giving it a lot. I'm going to give it a lot of glue. I'm not going to go sparingly. I'm going to get those sides really well. And just get the top over those strings, over the holes. Yep. And then I'm even gonna go back in here and give it some more. Okay. And this again is another, you have a little bit of wiggle room. So get that glue off my fingers. Again, make sure you're doing it right side up. My book is up. This is the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it in there. And I'm going to sort of look at it. Where is it landing? I don't want it landing outside of the book. I want it to be fairly even. I'm going to look at my book this way. Make sure I have this kind of where I want it. And then I'm going to start pressing. And I'm going to press lightly at first because I don't want to shift this. I'm just going to press it. I want it to get tacky so it's not shifting. I'm going to constantly be checking my book's not hanging outside of it. And then you're just going to go through on each side, and then you're going to press those down really well on each side. And I'm going to get a little more aggressive as I go, making sure it's in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then leave it alone. Don't touch it. I'm going to straighten that up a little bit. Looks like it's shifted a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and work on that, and I'm going to continue to press that in there. And then, yeah, we'll make this part 1. And then when I come back, we'll start working on the inside. So thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned for part 2. Bye.